Good evening. Welcome to the January 15th, 2026 School Building Committee meeting. First item of business, roll call.
Manager Golden, Michael Vaughn,
Present.
School Committee Member Bahu, here. Superintendent Skinner, here. Richard Underwood, Michael Fiato,
Here.
Connor Baldwin,
Present.
Mark Byrne,
Here.
James Hall, here. Counselor Chow, David Peasley, here. William Samaras, here. John Leahy,
Here.
Representative Elliott, Mary Ann Manzi, here. Jay Mason, Maria Sheehy,
Here.
Benjamin Opara, here. Erica Harvey, John Haley,
Here.
Paul St. Cyr, Representative Howard, here. Kendrick Delorbe, Jenica Lang, Eliza Seek. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. First item of business, accept Zoom participation. So, Mr. Baldwin, thank you. And the next item of business, the vote to accept the minutes from the previous meeting, which was November 20th, 2025. Mr. Peasley, seconded by Mr. Mayor Samaras, so moved. So next item of business, this, the presentation from Suffolk and Skanska and Perkins Eastman. From Skanska, we have Kevin Kane, who will start the presentation.
Hello, everybody. We have Robin Greenberg with Perkins Eastman, and we have Justin Lyons with Suffolk here. Start with this presentation. I'll have Justin start off with the status of the project, where we are, schedule, looking forward.
Thank you, Kevin. So just a quick recap, Phase 3A building, which was the completion of Phase 3, we turned over on the 5th on Monday, and we commenced Phase 4, and right now, I think as everyone understands, the Phase 4 schedule runs from January of 2026 through June of 2027. That's
Can you advance the slide, please?
Next slide, please.
So just, recapping the phasing plan, this was where we were fall of 25. And you can see in the 1922 building, which we called Building A, that's what got turned over at the end of this year for the start of school. And then on the next slide, we're showing the Phase 4, January of 26 through the summer of 27. And then, which is a combination of the 1922 and the 1890s building. And then the next slide is the, we'll call it the last phasing slide, which is showing fall of 27, everything completed, including site, plantings, landscape, and so on. But as I said, the substantial completion for Phase 4 is scheduled for June of 27, and then this would be the residual 2 to 3 months of final site finishes, landscape, things that cannot be done until that time. And then on the next slide, so Building A classroom, it says progress, but this was the completed pictures just before the school turnover. Next slide is the corridors. Same thing, Building A prior to the turnover. Next one is the restrooms. And finally, the basement progress, showing the dance room, TV studio, and so on, and the chorus. And the next slide is the auditorium within Building A that is planned to be turned over to the school on March 1st. Showing the seats are in, protected. So right now, what we're doing is we have some final handrails to get put in, to get installed by the end of February, and then all of the electronics, all the stage equipment, that'll be completed and then commissioned through the month of February. Exterior photo showing Building A at the entry, at the north elevation. And then the next slide is Phase 4, just showing some progress of the demolition that has been taking place over the last 2 to 3 weeks. This slide, trying to recap Phase 3 punch list, just as a very high-level overview, showing 291 open items. Now, one thing to note, that includes what we have for Building A, and the last 1 or 2% of those punch lists for Building A will be uploaded in the next few days by Perkins Eastman. So we expect to be hovering right around the 300 range for Building A, excluding the auditorium, of course. And then within that number, there's about 30 items for Building C that will be completed over the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And that is it for the punch list slide. Yes, sir.
Mr. O'Para?
Thank you. Can we categorically say that we are done with Phase 3 and we are now official in Phase 4?
Yeah, one minor mistake I made is the rest of Phase 3 would be the auditorium. That is the 2 months that we need, and that will be turned over in March.
Okay,
So-
that confused me.
Yeah, and I apologize. Technically, the auditorium is within the Phase 3 footprint, but the school and the city has been aware that that was going to track a couple months after the school opened in January.
Mr. Byrne?
Justin, I know I asked it this morning, but I want everybody to hear it. The auditorium, as it is right now, how far, we're definitely on schedule, and we don't have any lead time issues that we're going to miss it, that we're going to get it March 1st.
So the only thing, as we noted today, was the handrails. That is the only product that we do not have in our possession. They're being manufactured in Kansas City. It's been a difficult process. I'm not gonna lie, but we are doing everything within our means to make sure that shows up by the end of February. And aside from that, if something temporarily has to be done just to meet ADA requirements, and we will take those actions. I hope it doesn't come to that, and that decision of putting the temporary work into place would happen first, second week of February in order to be completed by the end of February. And we'll work with, Building Inspector Dave Fuller just to make sure that everything is satisfactory to his standards and obviously into code standards.
Yeah, one final thing. Can you just let the group know, too, on the ramp and the going into the auditorium area?
Yep.
Can you just explain to it that it's kind of a temporary, and that we're going to be doing some work this summer on it?
Exterior.
Exterior.
Exterior ramp, yeah. So
Thank you.
if you wanted to flip back to that exterior slide, the first slide of the north elevation, what Mr. Byrne is referring to is the concrete ramp that has wooden handrails. That is temporary handrails. The concrete is covered with it's cladded with stone, and there was some final adjustments that had to be made that prevented us from taking the field dimensions until we needed the concrete to be completed before we took the field dimensions. Or the stone manufacturer takes the dimensions, and also the handrail. So the lead time associated with that, by the time we poured that concrete, it's a 12-week lead time. So we knew we weren't going to get there by the end of December, so we went temporary, and this work would be done in the summer. So unfortunately, it's more than just a week's worth of work. So we would never want to commit to something like an April vacation. But the plan is to get everything here on site by April and then be ready for the summer.
I'm sorry, one last question.
Committee would like to recognize Commissioner St. Cyr for the record. Mr. O'Para?
Okay, so does concrete been poured already?
Yes, sir. So
It's been poured.
in that. That's all the cast in place concrete thing. So everything, yeah, the infrastructure, the structures, everything's there. Everything just has to be, like the stone has to be adhered to the walls, and then the rails have to be installed.
The ramp is useful, it's usable. The stairs are there also. And the canopy there is lit, will be, is being lit. So it is an accessible ramp and stair access to the building.
Any other questions to this point? Mayor Leahy?
So in the spring, we're gonna have graduations and events and stuff. There won't be will they be staging anything around the front of the building there?
No.
It'll be open access for everything for the graduations and all that stuff.
Yeah, what you see there right now, that condition will remain until school ends.
Yeah.
Which we're using the date of 6/19.
Okay.
And that would be when we could have access to the front and be able to, and we do know we have to work around some summer activities with the concert series, and right, so
We're
gonna work
coordinating with Boarding House Park and Peter Rossello. And the graduation, I believe, is at Songus Arena, but I'm sure there are events.
Well, the adult ed graduation is usually
Okay.
that Friday right after Lowell High School.
We'll make a note of
whatever day we
talk
have
about
to
it
wait
at
to
least.
start, that's what we'll do. It's
Okay. And then just one other question on the last phase, the punch list. So when will they start the punch list? Vacations or summer or?
I'm sorry. The phase we just finished?
Yeah.
In A building? So we've already started. Like, I know there's probably 30 items that have come up that we're going to be taking care of through, like, I think 12 were completed today, 12 more on Monday. So as they come up, to answer your question, the goal would be to get all of them completed, with the exception of the ramp and the auditorium, but to have everything completed by the end of February.
As the process has been going, when school is out, which is more like second shift or add a couple more hours, the trades go back and finish the work that they, on the punch list side. So we are getting things done after school hours too.
And-
there are some Saturday times where the punch list work is getting done also.
Where we gain the most traction is when we run a second shift on punch list. That will be run in conjunction with the demolition of phase 4, which is running second shift. So we have a superintendent, staffing the project from 3 to 11. So that's where we can have the best access, and it's just easier for the school. It's easier for everyone, and it shortens the time frame, because when you have to wait for Saturdays, there's never enough
that's fine,
Saturdays.
yeah. I just want to make sure, because from a cleaning perspective, with the custodians over there,
Yep.
there's tiles, obviously. You guys know there's tiles that are missing. There's a couple of bathrooms that need another coat of paint. There's just a few things with the flooring that need to be touched up and
Yep, agreed.
things like that. So.
Yeah, so and some of the activities that take multiple days, like you said, flooring, when it comes to the epoxy flooring in the bathroom, is some touch up. So sometimes that's not just a 1 or 2 day, because it ends up having to be a 3 to 4 day process
Right.
because of the steps, and you have to wait for the curing. So that'll be tackled during vacations, and anything, on the shift where you can get everything ready for the next morning for school. That'll be done on the Monday through Friday second shift.
All right, thank you.
I just want to check in with Mr. Haley. He had some questions that were emailed in today. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So Kevin Kane has your questions. and he has a response to them. He can go over those now if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Them out, or do you want to read them out, or do you want me to pick them off as I see them?
Yeah, you can just pick them off. Everyone's seen them, so.
Okay. So the first, thank you. The first question was about the to be completed, or the TPB dollars, and that's on our budget summary. It doesn't line up with the encumbrance to date. The reason for, there's 60 million, the reason for that is that you got to go to the bottom line of that budget report on that particular column. And that's the money, that's what has been, that's the budget, the $381 million, that's the budget. The total project budget, the two lines you were talking about was the 357 million relative to the encumbered amount. That line, the MSBA does not transfer up the change orders until the end of the project at closeout. So so the numbers are right. It's just a matter of, it's an accounting issue that the MSBA does not count for change orders until the end of the project and transfers them up to the total project budget. But the total project budget of $381 million, that's what we're working with right now. Comparing that to the number that you were identifying, those are the two numbers you have to compare. I hope it made sense there. Sort of a
Yeah, I
technical
just
issue.
wanted to just get that clarified for folks and just so help folks understand these numbers better, that's all. Thank you.
Yep, okay. Now, the next question you had was, where are the pending change orders for the time extension in the basement for Perkins Eastman subcontractors in the budget summary? Those numbers are not in the budget summary. The budget summary has to do with known changes, pending changes, and current funding. The time
But
extension-
aren't those all considered pending at this point? What's the difference between the pending ones of $9 million listed on the budget summary and the ones that, for Perkman Eastman and Skanska and Suffolk? Why
that would be-
wouldn't those be
that-
included?
That would be the $36 million you're talking about, all of that money, all of those items? Which would be Perkins Eastman, Suffolk, Skanska. That's the $36 million.
But right now, there's.
not in the budget.
In
That's
the
not in the
pending
budget.
change request, there's $6 million more than you even have now. So why wouldn't they be in that budget anyways? In the 9 million?
There is already $1.5 million in that $9 million for the basement that we've been carrying for a few months now for the basement of the Phase 4 area. So part of that money for the basement rework is in that $9 million. Along, also
Okay,
what's
so-
in that, also what's in that $9 million is about $650,000 that changes that have been submitted to Skanska Perkins for review, and we've turned them back to Suffolk and saying, we don't find them to be costs to the project, to the owner. It's cost to the project, but those are the numbers we're working, negotiating the cost of the project down. We do that every day. But, so the $9 million has a few more other larger numbers in there that are not relative to the extension of time, except for the concrete, the basement that I talked about.
Okay, so just to be clear, I guess that 9 million is just, doesn't have all the change order stuff. It just has whatever ones you guys are currently including in there.
Correct. What we're tracking right now, along with $1 million for the basement for Phase 4, $1.5 million. Other than that, these are all numbers that we're tracking. Correct.
So if all that 9 million in the pending gets approved, then about, say, roughly, 6 million of that would come from the 36 million that you're currently asking for?
That $9 million is not expected to be $9 million from our view. So, but to your point, some of that will have to come out of that that contingency value of $11 million or $11.5 million.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to just make sure I understood that.
Yes, yes.
That-
The next question that you had was, can you provide a current detail of the current list of construction contingency through change order number 41? I have that on my computer. I saved it. It's going to be the same MSBA log that we sent out before, which tallies all of the change orders. I will send that, I guess, to Sean, to Assistant City Manager, and he can pass that along to you.
Yeah, if we can just have those for each of the meetings, so if folks are, the biggest thing everyone's concerned with here is budget and getting to the end, so if folks have questions on these change orders, if they can see that before the meeting, then that may help clarify things with regards to understanding the use of the remaining contingency budget or the extra budget for contingency you're requesting at this time.
Yes, and the report we've been providing to the committee it's an MSBA quarterly report. So it's a quarterly report, and that is the best way to present the information to you from all the documents that we have. So it would be a quarterly report that would turn over.
Okay.
Then the next item, question you had, can we be provided with a current detail of a current list of construction contingency pending change requests? We're tracking pending changes right now in three different, which is what you were talking about earlier, three different ways. Perkins Eastman issues a field bulletin. We're tracking pending changes there with an order of magnitude. We're also tracking Suffolk creates a change estimate, a change event, cost event that addresses something that they found in the field. And there's an RFI question, we have to put some money. So there's a log there that's tracking that money. And then there's also the potential change orders that get submitted to us, PCOs. Those are another log. So we are tracking, and I've been tracking 3 different sets of numbers and events to track. To give you any of some of that information, we're negotiating with the subcontractors and with Suffolk to get the best number. To give you this detailed pending information would be somewhat detrimental to our negotiating stance and for the city's benefit. So that's a number that I think is I almost don't want to give up, only because the numbers are there. I'm confident that they're good, and I got some estimates in there. But my concern is we'll lose some negotiating value. If a subcontractor knows that we're carrying, somehow publicly gets out, we're carrying $30,000 for a change, well, I'm going to put in $29,900. So that's kind of the example that this pending change log is we need to keep this somewhat protected for the safety of the product and the benefit of the project.
Okay, so is that item there reviewed as part of the weekly OAC meeting?
No, we don't do this, but we do meet on a weekly basis with Suffolk and Perkins to review the status of the cost and the status of the changes and the information. So
Okay.
it is reviewed on a weekly basis in detail. The next item you had was, can we be provided with more current details of the current list of owner contingencies utilized to date in the budget? We have that information. We're going to gather that for you from what we have information, and we'll get that to you shortly, in a day or two. So that was something that we have that information. I'll get that to you. The next one, can we be provided with a more current detail of the current list of construction managers contingency utilization to date? That one there, we're going to work with Suffolk because they're tracking that. I'm tracking it also, but they have a good log and tracking mechanism through Procore to track and get that to us. So I've asked them. I talked to Justin this afternoon to get this information. So we'll pull that together and get that information out to the group. And then next question you had, I was a bit confused about the warranty item question, but can we be provided with an overall LHS list of warranty items? Our elevator's covered here. There's 2 sets
Yeah,
of
so
warranty. Yep.
And what I'm trying to get there is we hear different items, the doors, the elevators, or other items that maybe the public brings up or what have you, and just to get an understanding of where those are falling, whether they're on the punch list, whether they're under warranty, or whether they're under just maintenance issues that are, shouldn't be happening as a function of equipment breaking down early or what have you, and just to understand where we're headed with each of those, that's all.
Okay, I mean, it's for warranty list items, hardware, for example, we just got a list updated from Suffolk this morning that identified if there were 25 items on the list, they have completed and closed out a good portion of those. 80% of those, 85% of those items on the hardware, which have been pulled up as concerns. So that's one list that we can give you. The other item is for the elevators. We're tracking down. I understand today that Suffolk was able to receive information from Delta for the maintenance repairs that were done on the elevators through the warranty period of the contract with Delta. And we're looking for information from, and I think we got that too, and Mark's been helping us out with getting that information from the maintenance contractor for the city, for the elevators that are outside of the building's construction warranty. Now it turns into a city warranty, maintenance, and process. So we're trying to gather that information from the elevators, and then we're going to get together with the elevator consultant for the architect, and then also Delta and maintenance group, and try to come up with a way to understand what's been going wrong with these elevators, so we can address the heart of the problem. That's what we're working on. Those are those two items. But there are two sets of warranties. One of the warranty is under the contract of Suffolk and their trade partners, whether it's a warranty on windows or a warranty on the roof. Those warranties are in place. And then there's general warranties, and then there's more warranties that are after construction that become a maintenance issue for the city, town. So, does that answer the question? I guess, to have a list, I'm not sure if we have a few lists like we can get you for the hardware for one. We're still trying to track down the elevator list, but.
Yeah, it's just understanding what items we're currently already under warranty and have issues with, and what items are being now taken care of, costed through the regular school/DPW cost for maintenance. So like the elevators, it sounds like it's some maintenance and some warranty cost.
Yes.
That's just one example, I guess.
Yes. And this kind of rolls into your last question that you had was, about the maintenance issues. Elevators, we have maintenance issues on the hardware. We know that. We've been tracking it. And then one thing I wanted to say about the hardware was Assa Abloy is the supplier. They are going to be here at the end of next Friday through Saturday, through Sunday, and Monday if necessary, to go and look at every door hardware, every piece of hardware for the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and check them out. I mean, run them through a pace here or two, and then anything that needs to be repaired from that, they are on board to check every door lock hardware, hinge, closer, in starting next Friday, and working to get it done. So that's one way we're going to take care of the list. Yes, sir.
Sure. The
Bajo.
Acer Blue, I'm glad that you mentioned them. This has been an ongoing problem. This has been an issue for well over 2 years. It looks to me on your notes, on your logistic notes, that they were supposed to be here Christmas week. And unfortunately, they didn't come. This has been an ongoing issue for a number of years. What makes you feel that they're actually going to be here next week for the 4-day fix that we're all hoping gets done?
I'm going to have Robin answer that because she's been in contact with them.
So yes, we had them scheduled for December. Before there was a signed contract with them, that is now signed, so they're committed with travel arrangements to be here.
Okay, so we're expecting them, so next meeting, we're gonna hear that ultimately they took care of everything as best as they could, and whatever punch list items they have, then they will come and correct them. Is that sort of what I'm hearing?
This team is not correcting, they're just making the inspections. They'll make a list, and we'll have a discussion on if it's warranty, maintenance, or whatnot. But they're there to look at every piece of hardware to make sure it's as expected.
Okay, they're coming. That's the first answer.
Mr. Bahu, my blood pressure goes up every time I hear assa abloy.
Good. I just have a few more questions. This $11.9 million topic is sort of, what should I say? They're stuck on, they're not moving on that number. What does that cover? Does that cover the new, does that cover the Phase 4 project? Is that what that $11.9 million is?
The 11.9, I'm,
Sure.
on the budget page, or,
That's not listed anywhere right now, correct?
is that the loan order number you're looking at?
Yes, potential change orders, 1922 basement schedule, extension cost, under very last page.
Oh, okay, oh, okay. At the bottom, contract summary?
Sure.
Suffolk.
Potential changes.
It's under the bulletin.
Oh, field bulletin's up here, oh, okay.
It says potential change orders.
Agreement has been reached with Suffolk and the GRs in the amount of $11.9 million.
Tell me, does that cover the project?
That covers Suffolk to manage the project. It covers them for general conditions, which is heat, water, safety, all of that. That's the 11, and whatever else would be in that number. Justin?
Yes, general conditions and general requirements. So,
So does that cover any of the work that is being done on Phase 4?
not direct work.
Direct work.
That's where, when Kevin was mentioning the subcontractor extension, the work is owned, like the scope is owned. So when we think about the work that we need to complete in Phase 4, if it's within the documents, it is not included in that because it's already factored into the overall budget. Agreed? So with the 11.9 is just the extension of the project running for another 12 months.
For Suffolk.
For general conditions and general requirements, yes.
Which is staff, Suffolk staff.
Yeah. Cleaning, safety,
Cleaning, safety, temporary electricity,
weather,
weather conditions. All
temporary electric, everything that costs
Sure.
to keep the project running.
Oh, sure, and that's the
Yes.
$11.9 million.
That's what's
Yes.
noted in here.
Sure, that's the $11.9 million. So we're asking for ultimately $36.2 million, is that correct?
That 11 is in that.
Sure. So where does the extra $24 million come into play? I mean, how much of it are we looking at is for Skanska, how much for Perkins Eastman, and then ultimately how much for contingency? Because those are the three line items that we all need to worry about. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. And that's what was in the loan order recommendation request that we've submitted
Okay.
to the council. And roughly $2 million, very rough, $2 million for Skanska for an extended year of time service. Perkins Eastman, the same amount, and that's staff for Perkins Eastman and Skanska. And then there's the $11.9 million, depending how you look at 13, but then there's the subcontractors. We have subcontractor extensions for about $6 million. I'm sure I'm not gonna add all these.
Sure, yeah, you're ballparking, I got you.
Dollars for additional costs for subcontractors to perform the work over an extended period of time from their original contract duration, which includes escalation, labor rate escalations, and things like that, storage of material and equipment, longer for another year. And then there is the 11.5 or $7 million for contingency, which is based on an analysis, a couple of ways we looked at it, the analysis of what we thought we've experienced, what we know we've experienced in phase 3 of the 1922 building. And then that's what we put together as an estimate, is what we thought the potential cost would be to finish phase 4.
Sure.
And
And
we
the,
had a $3.5 million contingency that allowed us to understand maybe other things that could happen, and we could find in that, mostly in the 130-year-old building.
sure. And I understand what your thoughts are. You know, it cost 11 and a half or $12 million for the north side of the 1922 building. We're going to expect the same.
Correct.
But we also didn't have an Irish auditorium in there because I'm sure that was a big factor of it as well. So it just seems like, you know, I keep hearing $39 million is like a hard number, but it seems like this really can be done with almost $12 million in contingency with the $36 million. So, you know, I just wanted to, you know, share, you
A
know,
little, I'll be honest with you, it's gonna make it more difficult with the lesser money, but we're doing all that we can do every day to try to bring the cost down and get within the budget. But it's gonna make it a little bit harder.
okay. And my last question is the FF&E. Back in October, we, you know, transferred about $2.1 million. I don't have the number exactly. From FF&E to the contingency fund so that we could have money to operate that project. Are we assured that we will get that $2.1 million or that number back that we transferred over to contingency? The whole amount, not a partial?
We have to. That was what we have to. We did that with the understanding it's going to go back.
Okay,
Yes. yeah.
right, okay, because Mr. Dowd said something different. He said, I can't guarantee that based on whatever the council agrees to. There may be added costs, and we can't guarantee all that money would go back. But, go
The
ahead.
reason we did that in the first place was to allow us with an extended approval and getting, you know, not even the loan order, but it was just to get the funds to extend the project. We needed some buffer to have some money that we could pay bills while we were waiting for this to move forward, the extension of the costs. So that's the reason, that was the real reason to do that, was to give us funds, money in the bank, to be able to pay the bills.
Sure, and I would have voted for it if I heard that we were going to get all the money back, but I did not hear that, so I voted against it. But we will be getting all that money back.
Well, the
With the
money
FF&E.
is in the budget of the project. The money that we transferred is in the budget of the project. But the FF&E budget, and we're still working to fine tune that, Robin, right, is the FF&E budget is where we're working on finalizing that and getting that to a point where we're trimming it to where it's necessary. And the FF&E purchases are,
For phase 4, we have line items, we're just going through the lines to make sure that we're good. Just, you know, we have contingency in that too, and so that is available, but just 3/4 through the project, where are we? What do we have? We have some large spaces that need some good FF&E, you know, the library media center, so, you know, just having that conversation, you know, taking the pause, look at all the lines.
Okay, so ultimately, we're going to get it back, but we're going to make sure that we have everything that was to be accounted for?
yes, for the FF&E
Okay, great. We'll just,
necessary for the school.
terrific. We'll keep an eye on it. Thank you.
Mr. Byrne?
Mr. Manager,
Mr. Byrne, and then is that Mr. Haley?
Rick Underwood.
Okay, we'll go to you next, Ricky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I get a couple of questions. We talked a lot about numbers here just recently. Everybody talked about numbers. I get a question regarding operations. We're going into phase 4. We're 2 weeks into phase 4. And I know that you're going to start your demoing a bunch of areas. Is there anything that you've seen in the 2 weeks that you've been there that is going to change any of these numbers here? I know it's a hard question, but if the council's going to vote on, you know, a potential $36 million increase, and you're in there demoing that, and you've factored some funds in there to demo that area, do you anticipate any surprises in going through the demolition part or anything right now in that phase 4 process?
I think you do.
To answer your question, that we have seen some surprises. The hope would be that the contingency would be able to cover those surprises, because that's what the contingency was, that 11.5 that has been spoken, and that's in the documents. We would hope that it would cover that, but of course, it's contingency. So there's nothing has been calculated, has been quantified. It's being analyzed. So that's as much as I can say to answer that question. And I just pass.
Yeah, we're trying to obviously minimize any exposure that we would have. From engineering standpoint of view, from construction standpoint of view.
But if these surprises do come up, we're gonna know right away on this as soon as possible. That could make something increase or we just need to know that we can't have like surprises of $3 and $4 million, and we got to keep adding. That the number just keeps going up, because I think that the people of here, and I think it's not fair to the councilors, it's not fair to the taxpayers that we keep going back to the well every single time and ask them for funds. It's not an ATM machine here any longer, I think. I think we're done with ATM machines.
We will, when we know, and we have a solution for a known issue, but we will put it out to you. Because there's things that we can talk about today that we know about today, but we need to find a solution for those first before we throw out a problem that we don't have the answer to. I'd rather have an answer to something than say that we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. We need to get an answer first.
Mr. Underwood?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Manager. I want to just go back to the elevators for a second. Mr. Haley had mentioned he had heard from the public we'd had been troubles with the elevators. I just wanted to confirm to everyone in this committee that we've had a lot of problems with the elevators. We've had problems with the elevators since the day the school opened up. Matter of fact, I was stuck in one of the elevators, myself and John Leahy, a few weeks ago. But we've got 4 working elevators there. We've had more problems with those elevators than all of the other buildings combined. One of the things I had mentioned at one of the OCA meetings, I know that Massachusetts is in the process of has built 4 new high schools recently in the first couple of years. So I was asking if anybody could take a moment to, look into those schools to see if they're having the same issues with their elevators. Because one of the things that was mentioned to me early on was that these elevators are, they're more sophisticated than our older elevators. They're more susceptible to kids jumping in them, or for whatever reason, they stop. And we've got people stuck in the elevators. We've had to call the fire department, I think, 3 or 4 times now. So, I'm just curious if anyone's taken the time, either our OPM or our architects, to reach out to those schools that I had mentioned during the OC meetings to see if this, if this is in fact an issue with the other schools, or if this is, an issue we're only having here at Lowell High School, because we are already, incurred cost in repairing those elevators. And a few of them have been down for a long time. And I don't have to tell anybody in this room, what a big inconvenience it is to have an elevator down in a school. So that's, that's my thought, my question, has anyone looked to see if anybody in the other schools are experiencing these same troubles, or are we just got bad elevators? Thank you.
You want to take that one, Justin?
I can't answer that, because it just goes back to, there has been no installation or workmanship issues that I'm aware of. I think it comes down to sometimes the sensitivity of the new modern elevators and the sensors and all the safeties. Again, I'm not an elevator expert, but it's not uncommon for when not used, in a normal manner. Sometimes these things do happen, but
I can assure you, John and I were not jumping up and down on that elevator when it stopped on us.
and I certainly wasn't suggesting that you were, Ricky, but and I'm not. It's sometimes it's not the person or that time. It's the 50 times before. I'm not suggesting. I'm I know exactly what happened that particular time, but I do know that there's a lot of service that's been happening on these elevators. And I think it should be answered in a more, comprehensive way by the elevator consultant, along with the manufacturer and the installer.
It's tough to answer how it's going with other school developments, but that's something we can look into, Mr. Underwood, try and get answers
Well,
on.
then maybe we should be bringing in a third party or somebody to look at these, because I'm just telling you, this is not normal in a school, in any building. That elevators would go down, what? More than
So-
half a dozen times in 2 years?
Ricky, to your point, and Sean just mentioned, we will look at schools Skanska will look at schools that we have done recently, from Attleboro to Belmont to more recently, the last 4 or 5 years. And we'll we'll ask the questions there. We'll ask the administrators there, the facilities people at those schools, and we'll look into that for you. And
Gotcha.
let you know what we find out there. And then the other part earlier on, I don't know if you were on earlier, but we do have we do have information coming from Delta of what their maintenance repairs were on where there were issues with the elevators, and we also have the information coming from three-phase/specialized. We're compiling that, and we're getting that information to the elevator consultant that works for Perkins, and we're gonna get together as a group with the elevator contractors and the consultant designer, and gonna put our heads together. They're gonna put their heads together to figure out what may be the cause, the continuing cause for the things that are going wrong. I've heard governors mentioned a number of times on some of the reports where a governor need to be tightened, the governor accord. So, I mean, I've seen that had to be fixed, that had to be looked at again, a week later. So I've read some of the reports, and I don't know the details. I'm not an elevator inspector or engineer, so we're gathering that information. We're gonna get that to the elevator consultant through Perkins, Eastman, Robin, and we'll sort that out, and we'll let you know where we end up with that.
If the committee could recognize Kendrick Delorbe, and if anyone else on the Zoom has joined us after the roll call, can we have a look at who's on the Zoom?
Thanks, John.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Samaras, I think you had your hand up first.
Thank you. Actually, Mr. Bahu and Mr. Burns really addressed the question or asked you their concerns about, the expenditures that we're going through. But I was part of the original group looking or receiving the information from Skanska, Perkins East, and Suffolk as to what the construction of Lowell High School would look like, building new buildings and renovation. And many, many questions were asked regarding renovations. And the answers we were given that a lot of the construction in today's world now, with many of the companies, or all of the companies, is renovation is a major part of what they have to do, not just building new buildings, but renovation. And we should be comfortable in look and expect a quality product. Okay. The issue then started with the steel. When the steel went up, okay, we talked about COVID, but we were hit with basically a $30 million bill. But because of the work of the council and the legislature, what have you, that we were helped with by the state with that. And then recently, we've got the $39 million, then $36 million. This is what we're going to have to pay. But when or any one of us are out in the street and people are talking to us or asking us questions about how is it going, we really can't give them, we'll say, good answers, because what's been happening in the past, we've asked this question, is the 39 million or now 36 million, will that be enough? Will that cover the costs for completing Lowell High School? And in the beginning, we were given almost absolutes. In other words, renovation we're gonna go into, we're gonna ascertain what the problems are. If there are problems, you'll receive the type of projection that should adequately cover it. But there are things that do happen, okay? So things happen. But the issue is, in talking to, we'll say, people who are leaders in your area, the one thing is, you came up with a projection, okay? Now you were met with a problem, and you requested a certain amount of funds from us. But the thing is, can we go back and with some type of a surety to say that this will be the final cost? And I'm getting an indication that it might not be. But I understand the process, but you have to understand, at some point, when can you say, or when do you say to us, okay, folks, we've had to go through this, and this, but this is where we're at, and this will be the final price. This is the ball game that we're into. But, when I'm hearing, there might be a surprise. Well, when they talked about the cement floor, the problem in the 22 building, I was in that building for over 20 years. And we're right next to a canal. I could have given you an answer to the problem back then. We wouldn't have had to do anything. I would have told you, it's a problem. So that's where we're at, sir. And it's not, your companies were hired because of your reputations and because of your successes. The thing, I was talking with someone regarding Suffolk. Suffolk is one of the leading companies on making an assessment, a proper assessment, on what it will cost to do something. Perkins Eastman and Skankster, you just have to watch television, and when you see these projects all over the world, you see your signs up there. You're not there because you're not doing the right type of thing. But we're here in Lowell right now, and we've been told a lot of things, but we're still getting a message that, well, this may not be it. It may cost a lot, some more money. I can understand it, but you have to understand where we're coming from and how do we handle this. And there's got to be at some point when you say, this is what we're going to do. We've eaten up some of the costs on this, but we made a contract with you. We did this, and this. You understand what I'm saying? And so there are a lot of people that watching us on TV. There are a lot of very technical questions that were asked. And, the person in just watching us on TV is not going to understand a lot of what has transpired tonight because they don't have this in front of them and they don't have the context that we have to say, can you explain further? But we need to have an answer, to best analysts. Do you understand where we just need to know that an assessment was made, and this is where we're at. Thank you.
Moving on, workforce update.
Two more quick questions. He's got one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Delorbe.
I think there's a lot of great questions that have been asked so far. I think to label what the construction team is finding as surprises is a little bit too trivial. I think a surprise is a birthday gift. But I think these are financial setbacks that are costing the taxpayers of Lowell. Not really surprises that we should be happy about. The question that I have, I guess, is as of right now, 2 weeks into phase 4, is there any indication right now that prices will go up for phase 4?
Earlier on in the meeting, we did say that there are we're trying to reduce all the costs that we can reduce. As we find things, we are working to get the information to mitigate any additional problems, things that we find, surprises. We're doing all that we can do to mitigate the costs, mitigate the circumstances, and make changes to get the project finished.
Mayor Leahy?
Thank you. Just one other thing. So when you were talking about people coming in next week to look at doors and hardware and elevators and stuff, so in less than 3 weeks, we have an election, and I'm over at the high school today, and 4 out of the 6 doors where people are going to go in to vote aren't working. So this is the stuff, you know.
I'm looking over at,
Well, yeah,
first time
all
first
3.
time
I
hearing
mean.
of this, as of today.
Yeah, I mean, so this is the stuff, you know, the elevators going out, can't use doors. We just had to replace a door lock for $1,200. I mean, it's driving us crazy. So these are the things we want answers to. We're wondering, you know, we're spending all this money on a brand-new high school, and, you know, this week alone, out of my budget, I spent $1,200 on a new handle. I go with the elections officer, 4 doors you can't go in. So we're a little frustrated. I don't need an answer right now, but these are the things, you know, why we're frustrated. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, Workforce Board update.
You want to go through that? You know what, I don't have.
Justin.
Sheet, Justin, yeah.
Mr. Leahy, is there any chance that we could just catch up after? I just want to know which doors you're speaking of. We haven't been made aware of this right now, so I just want to make sure.
With the way my day goes, they could have just put the signs up this morning, but.
So there were
they're on the
signs there?
Arcan Drive side going into the gymnasium, or the
Into the gym.
yeah,
main
the
entrance.
field house.
Field
Yeah.
house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a functionality, or was it the school wanted to close the doors?
Well, I didn't use the doors. I went around, so.
We'll look
Okay.
into this.
Yeah.
We'll get this, let's
Okay,
move on
thank you.
to the agenda. Workforce Board update.
Could you do that? I don't have the sheet, I pulled mine. Thanks.
Total MBE WBE contracts awarded at $23,036,066. Total construction female workforce, 5.2% of workers, which breaks down to 168 at totaling 51,839 hours, 51,839 hours, and the project goal remains 6.9% for female workforce. And for total construction minority workforce, we're at 26.7% of workers, which breaks down to 1,101 workers, totaling 266,613 hours, with a project goal at 15.3%. And then total construction Lowell resident numbers, we've had 8.72% of workers, which is 170 workers at 86,950 hours.
Moving on, Skanska with the budget update.
Yes, some of these numbers we've talked about already, but so the total project budget, the 381 million, that's the number that was addressed earlier. Construction contingency, again, to $2 million that we talked about, Mr. Bahu, earlier, is in that number now. We're carrying the 23 as a transfer. And the $9 million that we talked about was the idea that there are different buckets that we're tracking or different events that we're tracking. So we're working to get that down every day. The breakdown of changes, this is through change order number 41. That's the $19 million to date, and I will get out a log for all those items, individual items that total to that $19 million with the next day or two. Contingency, construction contingency, utilized to date, we will get you the detail of that $594,000. And construction manager's contingency, we will get you the detail of that $6.9 million. That's been utilized to date. That's the general budget scope, and then the next slide is where we are with invoiced, encumbered, and the current, and the budget that we, as it stands right now.
Any questions on the budget? Superintendent Skinner?
I'm wondering if you could explain, please, the retainage item on that page. What does it refer to?
Justin, maybe if you can help me if I'm wrong, the retainage is what's being held back by contractor. That's a 5% retainage per trade partner's scope of work until they are 100% complete of their work. We release retainage of subcontractors if they've met the requirements of the contract, installed their work, and then they submit all their documents, closeout documents, and operations and maintenance manuals, all of those things. When they do basically meet the terms of their contract, we then can release retainage. So we're holding the retainage.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, we'll move on. Next SBC meeting, I believe school vacation week is the 19th, so we'll do February 26th. Next SBC meeting will be Thursday, February 26th, at 6 p.m. in the mayor's reception room. Sure.
So this is, there was an incident on the 7th of this month that required some medical attention.
It was a, Mr. Skinner, if you want to answer this, this is the incident.
Apparently from the list, the summary list,
I didn't hear the question.
the first bullet here on this page.
In the meeting minute summary,
Yeah.
oh, the Howard brother employee.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Has there been any such thing before, more serious before? Have we have any visitation from OSHA or any of the or similar organizations to the site? I'm just wondering the vulnerability that we can face down the road, or we had faced.
Did you say, has OSHA
Yeah,
been visiting the site?
no, have there been any reason for them to visit, or had they ever visited?
In relationship, the start of the conversation. I think you were-
From that injury?
From that injury
No.
or any other request, any other.
No,
No.
no.
So we are not exposed to any hazard so far, right?
No, no, no. They have visited previously, but there was no issues found.
Okay. I just want to put it on record that for the first time since I've been sitting here, there seems to be some congeniality. In other words, there's some reception of the concerns that people on this body have expressed, and I really want to commend you for turning that page for us.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Bartlett.
Thank you.
Just a note, congrats to Mayor Gitchier. We can get a vote on for the next meeting to have you officially as a SBC member for the February meeting. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Captain Peasley, Kendrick Delorbe, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.